All right, so we're starting a new chapter in our Henry Huggins book today called The Green Christmas. It's chapter 4. Henry was glad he sat in the row by the windows in room 4 because he could watch for snowflakes. Even though his father said they would probably have a green Christmas this year, Henry still hoped for snow. He was pretty sure the package hidden behind some boxes in the garage was the sled he wanted. While he was at his desk looking out at the clouds for signs of snow, he was listening to Mrs. Roop talk about the Christmas operetta and thinking he had taken part in enough school plays for one semester. In September, he had been second Native American in a play for the Westward Expansion Unit. That hadn't been too bad. He had stuck an old feather out of a duster into his hair and worn an auto robe his mother had let him take to school. It was an easy part because all he had to say was, ugh. It really hadn't mattered once all three said it at the same time. Then in November, Robert came down with mumps just before book week. At the last minute, Henry had to wear a long cotton beard and read Robert's part, one of the 7 dwarfs in a play called Storyland Favorites Come to Life. It was not a play that appealed to Henry, but at least he did not have to memorize any lines or do much practicing, because there wasn't time. During the performance, he had to stop reading several times in order to take pieces of the beard out of his mouth. His worst part had been in a parent-teacher program for National Brush Your Teeth Week. Henry had been really disgusted that day. He had to wear his best trousers and a white shirt to school, and he had to stay clean all day. Then he missed practicing with his football because the meeting was after school. Worst of all, he had to stand up in front of all the mothers and teachers, bow and recite, "I am Sir Cuspid, my job is to bite. Brush me twice daily to keep me so white." The kids called him Sir Cuspidor for a long time after that. Now Miss Roop was telling the class that the Christmas operetta was called A Visit to Santa Claus. It was about a mother and father and their 2 children who visited Santa Claus at the North Pole on Christmas Eve. Henry thought it was a silly play. In the end, it turned out the little boy had dreamed the whole thing. Henry disliked stories that ended up being someone's dream. Miss Roop said, "Since the whole school is giving the operetta, there won't be parts for everyone in our room." Well, that's good, thought Henry. He slid way down into his seat so Mrs. Roop wouldn't notice him when she was assigning parts. Isn't that interesting? I've seen some of you do that when you don't want to be called on. Mrs. Roop continued, "Richard, Arthur, Ralph, and David will be 4 of Santa Claus's reindeer. The other 4 will be chosen from room 5. So far, Henry was safe. He stayed down in his seat just to be sure. "Mary Jane, you are to have the part of the dancing doll. Beatrice, you'll be the rag doll." Girls' parts. Henry felt a little safer. "Robert, you'll be the big brown dog." Miss Roop went on. All the children laughed. "Rrr, arf, arf," said Robert. The children laughed again. When Miss Roop started to hand out the parts, Henry decided she'd come to the end of the list. He sat up straight in his seat and looked out the window at the sky. It looked darker. There might be snow for Christmas after all. He was glad he wouldn't have to stay in after school to rehearse A Visit to Santa Claus. He wanted to make snowmen and throw snowballs, since of course his mother and father would not give him the flexible flyer until Christmas. When he had his sled, he wanted to coast on the 33rd Street Hill. Miss Roop, holding one part in her hand, stood in front of the class again and smiled in Henry's direction. Just in case she was smiling at him, Henry quickly slid down in his seat again. She was smiling at him. She said, "And the best part of all goes to Henry Huggins. Henry, you are the shortest boy in room 4, so you are to have the part of Timmy, the little boy who dreams the whole story." The class shouted with laughter. So I'm going to stop right there for today because it's just a good breaking point in the story. But how do you think good old Henry is feeling about being cast as the little tiny boy who has the Christmas dream in the play? My guess is Henry's not too happy about it. And when it says the class shouted with laughter, my guess is they're going to give him a pretty hard time about being Timmy, the little boy who dreamed the whole story. But you'll have to wait until Monday to find out. Have a great day, guys. Bye.